Hey, all, Christian Mystery cleaning windows of the File Coast. Your questions answered, as per usual. So I got a couple of questions from FH Enterprise, and I'll go through them one at a time. So the first one is, how do you deal with complaints, i.e., spots on windows or scratched glass or windows, scratch windows? Okay, so communication is important at all times, right? Now, let's say, for argument's sake, I've received a complaint saying we've had spots on the windows and all that sort of stuff. Now, what we say to our customers from the get-go is, if there are any spots or grey marks that appear within 24 hours of us cleaning the windows, we will come back out again, as soon as practically possible, and put the windows right, free of charge. Okay. Now, we have had it. It's been quite this. We had a quite amusing one where a lady who we cleaned the windows for rang me pretty much within half an hour of us cleaning the windows, saying, "Chris, there's dirty marks all over the windows, blah blah. You need to come back and put it right." I was like, "Right, no dramas, my love. I'll be around shortly." So I finished what I was doing, and I just popped back. I was a bit surprised that it took 25 minutes, half an hour for dirty marks to appear. But she is a customer, and we look after our customers. So I went back, and I said to the customer, I says, "I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, my love. You might think this is a stock answer for window cleaners, but I said to her, that mark is on the inside of the windows." "Well, is it?" And I said to her, I said, "Well, if you like, go inside. The way to tell is to go in on the inside and run your finger past it. And if it disturbs the mark, it's on the inside." And she was like, and she true enough, she went into the conservatory, and I watched from the other side of the glass, and she went right straight down the window, and the mark moved, and she was like, "I am dreadfully sorry. I am so sorry. I thought that was on the outside." I was like, "No dramas, my love," and I went about my day. Um, so the thing is that's a standard practice policy for us, if you like. If within 24 hours there are dirty marks appearing on the glass as a result of us not doing our job properly, we'll go back and put that right. And that's a stock. Or every customer knows this. And let's say, for argument's sake, we have had this as well, where customers claimed that we have scratched the windows. Now, I'm of the mind of thinking, I think as most people are generally, is that if you cause damage, you should put it right. The problem comes where there's a dispute between pre-existing damage and damage that you've caused, and you need to be very careful with this. I've personally been accused of scratching the windows when I was working on my own. There was a lady had these like glass Juliet balconies type effort, like balustrades almost, and we used to clean only one side of the glass, and a scratch appeared on this lady's window, on this lady's glass. And bear in mind, we're using the water-fed pole, and you know, it's very hard using the equipment that we have now. Not all water-fed poles are equal, but the equipment that we were using, I used to have what was called a hedgehog brush, which is it's not as bristle. It's basically a semicircular brush with bristles facing outwards, hence it looks like a hedgehog. And I was using the hedgehog brush, so I could get in all the little edges around the brass, not brass, but like metal fixture sort of thing, so I could get right in the gap and all that sort of good stuff. Now, the good thing about a hedgehog brush is that at no point does any plastic from the water-fed pole or the carbon fibre or the screws that hold it together or whatever, at no point does that make contact with the glass. So it's extremely hard to cause a scratch using a soft bristle hedgehog brush when the glass is wet as well. So I disputed. The customer said that I'd caused the damage. I disputed it, and I said, "Listen, I'm really sorry, my love. I don't." And she's like, "Well, how did it get there?" And all that sort of stuff. I was like, "I have no idea how that scratch got there, my love, but I do know that I didn't put it there." End of the day, you know, when it comes down to it, if you were accused of damage, and worst case scenario, I'm talking worst case scenario, right? The customer takes you to the small claims court. The onus is on the customer to prove that you have caused the damage, not the other way around. Okay. And so if you can honestly stand by the reality is, no one's going to take you really. I don't think it's not likely that someone's going to take you to, unless you cause some serious damage. I'm talking like smash you know, a £500 window. Then yeah, you can expect a bill. But if you've put a little scratch, or if worst case scenario, you put a little scratch in someone's windows, and you were really unreasonable, and you said, right, well, I'm not paying for that, and blah blah. Or even if you've caused the damage, the reality is the customer going to take you to the small claims court? I doubt it. I doubt it. Because it's probably going to cost the customer more to get it fixed. The reality, and it's a lot of hassle for some people. They just be like, "Oh, forget about it. We'll just sack him. We'll get rid of him." But the thing is if we've caused damage, then we will put it right. And in the past, we were sort of, this happened only a handful of times in the 5 years that I've been trading on my own. We were responsible. There was a building site clean. We turned up to, and we cleaned one of the windows, and the window wasn't fitted correctly. In my humble opinion, the window, so we were talking to the builder about it before, we get on, and we clean the windows, and all of a sudden a crack started to appear down the middle of the glass, and it slowly got bigger and bigger, worked its way down, and then we reported it to the builder and said, yeah, we've just noticed there's a crack appeared in one of these windows that we've been cleaning, and he was like, oh right, and sort of thing. And I said, listen, says, end of the day, says, I don't think it's been fitted correctly. And luckily, the glazers were on site. They came round and they replaced the window. I did offer to pay for the replacement, and ultimately the builder said, oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. At the end of the day, it's not been installed properly. It's no drama at all. And they replaced it. All well and good. Another time we have had one of my young lads, within the first sort of 3 weeks of having him with me, he broke a window, not just like put a scratch in it, like full on broke the window, and you just like pulling your hair out sort of thing. And I was like, right, fine, I'm gonna have a look. So I drove down. I was on a job site a couple of miles away, and I drove down. I was like, what the fucking hell, sort of thing. And we turned up, and ultimately what happened was the lad basically did something that he wasn't supposed to do. He tried to nudge an open window shut, and I say to my lads, if it's open, then clean it as best you can, but don't force it shut or try and tap it shut. So what did he do? He tried to tap it shut. The brush sort of hit the edge of this window, span around, and slapped the window beneath it, and put a nice fucking great big crack down the middle of it. So spoke to the lady. There was no hiding that. She was in. I mean, to be fair, we wouldn't hide it anyway. But there was no getting away from that. The window was completely whole when we arrived, and it was smashed by the time we left. So we obviously were responsible for that. So ultimately, we said to the lady, "Yeah, no drama. Obviously, there's no charge. We'll put it right and all that sort of stuff." And I instructed a window fitter to come round, give a price, and ultimately replace the window. And we got the price, and I said to the lady, "We'll happily replace the cost of the window." Paid. The guy came around, fitted the new, measured it up, fitted it, and all that sort of stuff, and we paid for it. The young lad that was on the job, we used some of his wage. He paid towards it, because when all said and done, he was doing something that really he shouldn't have been doing, and that caused the damage, and therefore, it's as much my fault as it is his. I'm the business owner. It's my fault, but at the same time, he caused the damage through doing something that I instructed him specifically not to do. So ultimately, we kind of went halves on it, and that was that. It was fixed and it was done. And crucially, that customer to this day is still a customer. So ultimately, how you deal with these things, has a large impact on your ability to keep and manage your customers. So yeah, so there's that. Okay. Second question: So it was quite a long-winded answer for the first one. Sorry about that, mate. Do you use disclaimers? I know some window cleaners that do, but ultimately, it's down to integrity. So let's say, for argument's sake, I used to get customers to sign waivers. I did, but the reality of it is, um, yeah, the reality of it is when you have if you get the customer to sign a scratch waiver and all that sort of stuff, you have to pre-qualify what damage exists on the glass. I give a lot of my quotes online and over Facebook and over the phone, and I don't necessarily see every single job site before I go to it. I'll do another video about that in the future. But so it's very hard to quantify damage that is pre-existing when you get there, or was there before you get there, unless you actually go to see every single job site. And I found it was quite labour intensive to go to every single quote that comes through for me to pay a visit to would take a lot of my time up, when it could be better spent elsewhere. So, in all honesty, unless you are prepared to pre-qualify every single job site, then go around when the customer is in, because sometimes the customer isn't in, and then get the signature off them before you take on that work. You can do that. You can do that, but we don't. Because on the website it says that we are obviously, fully insured and all this sort of stuff. Then it's already taken as read that if we cause damage, we will put it right. I hope that answers your question. And finally, knocking on doors or leaflets. So, in my humble opinion, each has its own little place, and you should never focus purely on one side of marketing than you should on another sort of thing. So try and spread yourself evenly, and you tend to qualify more customers that way. So let's look at you know knocking on doors. Knocking on doors works great if you are good at communicating and are patient and have got a lot of time. It is time consuming. Now, in the very beginning, I did knock on doors and canvas and give leaflets and cards over. I did because I had a small customer base, and ultimately, I needed to expand that base and had a bit more time in the day to do it. But when you eventually get to the point where you are working literally 9 or 10 hours a day, are you really going to spend another hour going out knocking on people's doors? No, because you won't need to. But we're talking about new guys starting out. Yes, knocking on doors and canvassing is brilliant if you can communicate and if you have confidence and if you can carry yourself in front of strangers. I do know that there are some people out there, especially younger lads and girls, particularly millennials, don't seem to be. I might be generalising here. Watch the negative responses all the way through. But millennials, nothing against you guys, but ultimately, I find that guys around the ages of sort of anywhere between 18 and 20 nowadays, in the year 2020, don't tend to communicate very well, or not have much confidence and all that sort of stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. No one's blaming you. It just seems to be a generational thing. I have no problem in standing up in front of someone and potentially, getting negative remarks thrown my way. It's just water for ducks back. We move on. So yeah, canvassing does work and it's extremely useful in the very beginning, but it is time consuming. Leaflets is good, but rather than costing time, costs you more money. So you should still do leafleting, or you could still do leafleting. And I have done leafleting a couple of times. Again, I don't tend to leaflet doors anymore. We have a lot of customers, so much so that if a customer puts up on Facebook or asks for a referral, does anyone know a decent window cleaner? Then a lot of times when you have as many customers as we do, which is approaching 720 odd customers, when you have as many customers as what we have, you get to a point where it takes a conversation where one customer will speak to another customer and say, do you know a decent window cleaner? And they'll go, oh, ours is brilliant, X, Y, and Z. Now that's contingent on you being reliable, being, you know, shall we say, efficient, and being good at your job, as well as having integrity. So if you can achieve that, and get to a certain amount of customers, you won't necessarily need to go leafleting. So that's yeah, you could do. What I found worked better than leaflets was door hangers. Door hangers do work really, really well. So a door hanger is the best. I would show you a door hanger, but I don't actually have any with me. A door hanger is like a leaflet, but you hang it on a person's door handle. And I can't take credit for this idea. I found a video on YouTube, thanks for that, from a guy called Keith Kalfas, who, I first, to try and get ideas about marketing my business. I saw a couple of his videos about window cleaning. I'll put a link in the description. This channel is called the Window Cleaning Blueprint. Fantastic source of information there. And so door hangers, ultimately, we used to just tape them onto people's door handles, etc. So and the reason that works, I think it works better than leaflets, is because what will happen is you will walk up your driveway, and we've all done it, and you'll walk up your driveway, you put the key in the door handle, you go into your door, and you'll notice a handful of leaflets on your doormat, and 9 times out of 10, you don't even read any of them. You scoop them all up and you file them in the bin. You don't even read them, and then you go about your day. You forget about that you even had leaflets, and you just do whatever. You forget about it. You don't even read it. There's no engagement. You're done. And then there is door hangers. The first thing a customer sees when they walk up their driveway is that there is something flapping around, dangling off their door handle. And like most people, they'll go, what the fucking hell's that? They'll look at it, and they'll be like, they'll see it coming up the driveway, and they'll go, what's that hanging off my door? So it grabs their attention. They walk up to the door, they're about to put the key in. They'll take the door hanger off the door handle, right? It's in their hand. There's nothing else in their hand except their keys. That door hanger says something. What does it say? And they read it. They may then take that and scrunch it up and throw it in the bin. But the difference between that and a door and a leaflet is that they've taken it off the door, read it, and then binned it, rather than scooping it all up, not reading anything, and just chucking it. That's your money that's being chucked down the drain. We found that leaflets were far more efficient. Door hangers were far more efficient than leaflets, for the simple reason that I think it's because of that. And we've had 250 leaflets put out as an experiment. I did this as a bit of an experiment. We spent 250 leaflets got put out, and then 250 door hangers got put out. And of the 250 leaflets, we put a special code on it, and we had like a little offer. And the number of responses we got from the leaflets was far lower. We got something like, from 250 leaflets we put out, we got about, from memory, I think it was about a dozen inquiries. And from those dozen inquiries, we took on 5 new customers. So from 250 leaflets, we got 5 customers. But then 250 door hangers, I handled something like 32 inquiries, and I took on 20. So again, people are not not all people are even or handle things the same way. But I think that was an interesting experiment. And yeah, so we then focused on door hangers, and we grew our customer base that way. So but yeah, the 3 main ways of getting customers, I find, is ultimately having a good social media presence, having good communication skills. You can qualify jobs over the phone, and using door hangers, and that doing those 3 things will help grow your customer base. So yeah, I hope that answers your questions. Your questions there, dude. And thanks for supporting the channel. if you like what we do, leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more tips and tricks in the trade. So have a great one, everyone, and I'll speak to you in the next video. All the very best.